Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Prami, and welcome to our session two. Today, we're moving from the big picture to the front line, and we're going to show you exactly where your monthly support goes the moment that it hits our floor. So today, I am thrilled to be joined by Shainara, which is our community services supervisor here at our Stop Community Food Center. And we would like to call Shainara the steward of dignity. So just introduce yourself as well.
Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Shanara. I am the community service supervisor at the stop, but I started as the food bank coordinator. It was This is still my first love at the stop. Um, and it is a place that I always enjoy being and I'm really passionate about. So I'm so happy to be here and to talk about it.
Thank you, Shainara. Um, with that being said, let's move on to our first part of the webinar series. So, Shainara, people often imagine a food bank as a pre-packaged bag of cans, but here at the stop we do something different. Can you walk us through how it works at the stop and what community members experience when they walk in?
Yes. So as soon as our community members come in, often community members are coming very early because they're interested in getting in quickly and getting their first choice of items. So sometimes there's a lineup, but they are coming in and getting registered. And usually that includes for the year, they'll show us their ID and their proof of address, so where they live, so we can determine if they are in our catchment area or outside of our catchment area. If you are in our catchment area, you can come once a month. And outside is twice a year for emergency food, and we'll refer you to a food bank closer to you. Once they get checked in, they'll get two numbers, a number that shows their family size. So they will also check in everybody else in their household, which can include parents, roommates, kids, um, in-laws. Um, can We have family sizes up to 12. Um, and they will also get a number for their place in line. Then they'll take a seat, and lots of our community members will sit in the food bank, and we have a TV that they'll watch or they'll chat with each other, or they'll also sit in our drop in if the wait is a little bit longer. Once their number is called, they go up to our distribution counter. And one of the things that's a little bit more that's a little unique about our food bank is it's a choice model food bank, which essentially, rather than pre-packing, we have a list of items of what you're eligible to access, and then they can choose what they would like. It helps prevent a lot of waste, as well as maintain the dignity of choice of what suits your preferences, your cultural preferences, your dietary preferences. Um, and it's really important to have as close to a shopping model as we can with the space that we have.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's so important to highlight that it's not just that we give out food, but we give like culturally appropriate food as well. And um, definitely we stock items, especially with our diverse community that comes in. And I would like to thank uh, our monthly donors here for where your donations go, and that's really important for us. And something that Shay also mentioned last session is that um, like there's a 40% of what we give out is fresh produce. Whether it's and it's also it includes dairy, protein, and that's one of the most expensive items that we that is for us as well, and it's very important for our health. Um, with that being said, I know that it's so powerful to see the power of choice that we have at the food bank. But we also have to talk about the skill that we serve as well. We've mentioned that we've hit a record of over 177 households in one day. We mentioned that story last session. So Shainara, how does the team pivot and like from that market feel to also handling such a massive surge? And how do we use that moment to connect people to like deeper supports like our tax clinic or advocacy office?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think when we have these really busy days, it's a challenge for our team to manage the efficiency of operations while also these are our community members. These are people we see all the time and we really care about. Um, while also we're just like focusing on not having them wait a long time, which is also a really important part of their dignity and their day. Um, so a lot of it is collaborating with our other programs. So often on food bank days, it's collaborating with our drop-in teams, um, making sure if our wait is longer than we'd like, that there's space there where they can get a meal, or they can get coffee and um, yeah, just enjoy some more space. Uh, One of our team members have also started to print off some like word searches and crosswords, so there's something to do, um, just to fill the time other than chatting. We have some community members who are not the chatty type, um, and we try to do these things that can manage our time so that we can be there for the community members who might need our more immediate support, um, and our care, while also trying to put a lot of our focus into the speed of our operations. Um, Part of that is also again partnering with our other programs in the space. So the advocacy team that you mentioned, um, people who are experiencing food insecurity, it's not a singular challenge. There's a lot of other individual and societal barriers and challenges that they're experiencing, and being there as an organization to help them address all of it, and the intersectionality of it is so important. So we are often referring them to our advocacy team who can help them with housing, can help them with paperwork that can be really confusing for ODSP or OW, um, as well as just supports if it's looking for health clinics, looking for a doctor, which is so hard in the city. All of these things contribute to financial instability and food insecurity, um, and being able to help walk them through it, and just be there with them, I think is really important. So we do our best to be there with our community and chat with them and remember that we're part of their community as well and part of their support, um, and not just dropping off food for them.
Yeah, I understand, and this just proves that the STOPS model just works to address like even like the root causes of hunger, and the food bank is like a gateway to open up the other services that we have at the stop, and that's definitely like a unique model that we have, and we can call it a gateway effect because it's like a bridge between like emergency relief to long-term stability as well. And if you have like any stories to share, how if you've ex seen it yourself that a community member walked into the food bank and how we provided the services that we have, that'd be great to share as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the food bank is often the first point of contact, the first experience that a lot of our community members have with the stop. Um, because they're searching in need and they're seeing some of our partner agencies. They're accessing us through Daily Bread or through 211. Um, and they often have no idea what else we might offer. So I find that our volunteers are amazing spokespeople as well as our staff, and we're able to refer them to a lot of the other programs that can assist in building community, and address the other factors of food insecurity. The food bank is directly addressing emergency food, um, but to build the capacity to overcome food insecurity, we have to address other factors, and strengthen other parts of their life and other parts of their food security. So that includes us telling them about what's going on at the green barns, um, and our urban agriculture, and referring them to our drop-in that's right next door to us, but also our drop-in at the Witchwood Open Doors, that's on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and helping them build community connections. Um, One specific story that stands out is a community member who found us online, looking for a food bank, and she accessed, and while she was there, she got lunch. Um, And then she started to come every day for lunch because she had just lost her job and her daughter had just got out of the hospital and she was extremely isolated. She had to move during this time. And she was, yeah, experiencing great hardship. And she found community and friendship in the drop in. And when housing changed for her again, she was able to talk to our advocates, who supported her with housing and supported her with furniture. And she came back to me and she's like, "Do you remember when I first came in and I didn't know anything? And now, like, look at the people I've brought in. Look at the people who I brought in because you guys helped me so much, and I just wanted to share that." Um, and it just, it really warms me to know that it's not just the relationship between staff and community members. It's community member to community member. There are people who are bringing in their neighbors, because they know that we care and that the people in the space care for each other. Um, and it's why so many of our community members are coming in and asking about volunteering, because they want to do more and they want to be part of what we've created here. And it's invaluable and beautiful to see.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I have a question, Shainara. What kind of ID or documentation is required to access our food bank?
Yeah. So when you first access our food bank, we require ID, for the person signing up, as well as everyone in their household, that they are signing up. So for kids, this is usually a health card or a copy of their passport. We don't need the physical ID. It can be a photo on your phone of their ID. It's just a way to confirm that we're not duplicating accounts, because all food banks that are connected to Daily Bread are using the same system. Um, and it just, yeah, it helps prevent duplication of information. And then you also need proof of address. So usually this is a piece of mail that you've received that has your name and address on it. Um, if you don't have those items, I'm always, when we're talking to people on the phone, please come in, to the food bank. We will help you access them. If you don't have ID, we have an ID clinic that comes into the community center, which can assist you on Mondays. And if you don't have proof of address, we can also assist you with getting that. Um, it should never be something that stops people from accessing the food bank. But that is it. There's lots of other information that I think, um, helps inform organizations about the demographics that we're serving, but we try to limit it as much as possible to prevent barriers for people who might feel uh, very shy and might feel the stigma of coming to a food bank. So we limit it to only what we need. And we're always happy to chat with our community members if there's anything else they want to share with us.
Thank you for sharing that. So what if someone has dietary restrictions, whether they are needing halal or kosher, or they're a vegetarian? How would we make sure that a community member is served?
Yeah, the best thing about our food bank is we have a wide variety of options. Um, Once we identify a community and the needs for that community, we'll do our best to have that available. So we have a significant number of community members who are halal, who choose halal diet. And so almost all of our meat is halal that we purchase. And we are always like very aware of when we're receiving donations of whether the meat is halal or not, so we can keep it labeled that way. The same thing for any other dietary restrictions. So if we're receiving gluten-free options, we try to keep that labeled and separated. Um, Same thing for like vegetarian options. If we receive like tofu or tempeh or um, like variations of meat options, we'll keep that separate. And often we will only ask community members to take those items if they need it, to make sure that we can provide for our community who has dietary restrictions and um, cultural restrictions.
Mhm.
The really nice thing about the choice model is that our community is so great at only taking what they want and what they need. We've had community members come back and be like, "Oh, I took this by accident, but you should keep it so you can give it to someone else, because I won't actually use that." Um, so it's it's great.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Where does the food actually come from?
Um, we receive huge donations from Daily Bread, from Second Harvest, and from North York Harvest, as well as private donations. But we purchase a lot of our food, and it's also what makes our food bank so desirable. We have a lot of community members who come from very far away, um, from like traveling hours to access our food bank because of the quality of our food bank. The size of our hampers are typically larger than a lot of other food banks. And we have a large amount of fresh fruits and vegetables of good quality, um, and a lot of variety. At other food banks who are only receiving specific donations, they might only have four options, whereas we will always have potatoes, onions, carrots, our staples, and then typically an average of about five options, kind of depending on the season. We also invest a lot into the protein of our hampers. So it includes beans, a meat option if you eat meat. Canned tuna is always a huge fan favorite for our community, um, including milk, eggs, yogurt, and all these things help to keep our community full and nourished with like nutrient dense diets. Um, and so a lot of that is purchased so that we can maximize how much we give to our community, um, especially making sure that they're getting a little bit of everything and not just if we're counting protein, one community member gets eggs and one gets milk, but they don't get both. No, what we're doing here is providing enough so that they can all get full, well-rounded hampers.
Yeah. Shanae, you mentioned something about staples. What are the staple items?
Um, Good question. So what we call potatoes, onion, carrots are our staple like produce, but what you'll find in every hamper is cereal or oats, pasta option, a rice option, beans, milk, eggs, and yogurt, a meat option, um, bread, again, about five selection of fruit and vegetables outside of those other three staples I mentioned, and then some miscellaneous items. So this often includes uh, canned soups, uh, sauces, um, other things you might find that might not be as nutriently dense, but bring a lot of comfort. So it might be granola bars or pancake mix. Um, and sometimes it's nice because people are bringing it home for their family and it's something for them to do, something that might be considered frivolous spending when you're on a tight budget. Um, and then if we have it, we will also give peanut butter and tuna to every community member. These are like super important items to our community, and they are often the things that run out fastest. Um, we limit them as much as we can to try to spread it out, but they're gone in moments. Um, so that's what you would find in a typical hamper.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Just to pivot into another question, that's a little different, but are you seeing more new community members, such as students or even people with full-time jobs entering into the food bank compared to the previous years?
Hmm. I think not necessarily in this specific year, but over the past couple of years, we're seeing a great shift towards um, people who have jobs, but the money is not enough to cover everything, to cover rent, um, to cover car costs to get to that job, and feed your whole family. So, especially post pandemic, um, there was a huge uptick in people who were working, but their job wasn't enough to cover everything. I think especially now we're seeing lots of people who are struggling finding full-time jobs. So they're getting part-time work and it's doing a really good job of covering rent, but it's just not enough to get like all the food that they need. And they need that extra support to make it through the week. Um, so yes, and there was, I mean, last year I think there was a lot of um, discussion around international students and students in general accessing um, food banks. But I think it's important that higher education is leading to better jobs, and to invest in that is becoming harder as we see in our like political climate. Um, and I think it's important that we're supporting that as best as we can because people are putting sometimes whole generations of family are depending on one one family member to send them somewhere to do better for their community. Um, and I think as a community center, we have a calling to support that. Um, and we've definitely seen them come here because they feel more welcome. So it, there is a wide variety in our in in the stories of the community members who access the food bank and the community center. But we are definitely seeing an increase in those specific demographics.
Jana, thank you so much for sharing that and giving us a look behind the curtains of what the food bank looks like. And I just want to thank you for your time and thank everyone else for joining us today. As we wrap up tonight, I just want to leave you with one final thought is that Shanna and her team are on the floor every day doing this work. And definitely that's also thanks to all of you and your support of your monthly donations and your commitment to our community and making sure that the shelves are not bare in the food bank. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And I really hope that when you see a photo of the shelves being stocked at the food bank, you do see yourself in it as well, because we're building a community together each and every month. And just to recap that this session has been recorded and we will be sending out the recording. So please also mark your calendars for May 25th at 7 p.m. for third and final session of the series, and we'll be closing in on how change happens beyond the plate, focusing on the advocacy work